everybody.
This is JJ and Alex.
I made a name for myself. I told you I won't be denied.
As you wrap up your day, it's time to get your fix of the teams you live for and the sports you love. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody. Happy Thursday to you. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Alex Curie, Jeremiah Jensen. What's up, JJ? Hey, are your Broncos playing football tonight?
Yes, they are.
Yeah,
They're getting the
man.
Saints at the right time.
Everybody hurt.
Spencer Rattler is an incredible quarterback. He should start tonight for the Saints.
I think it's pronounced Spencer Rattler.
Rashid Shaheed's out for the year. He's not playing.
That's a bummer.
Taysom Hill's out. The Saints are so banged up. It's crazy. They started 2-0 and they were scoring 40 points a game. And now they've lost 4 straight, soon to be 5 straight.
Jamal Williams is a spokesperson for Pokemon, right? Like, he gets paid, doesn't he?
Essentially.
He needs to be. Get that guy an NIL deal with the Pokemon trading card company. Let's go. It's a Thursday. That means we got a lot going on here. Later on in the show, our Thursday through the basketball season debut of Thurl Bailey. Big T going to join us every Thursday right here on the KSL Sports Zone, and we're going to get a download. Hey, look, listen, if there's somebody – I was talking to someone today who goes, I'm an eternal optimist about the Utah Jazz. And I was like, that's a really, really good thing that I think a lot of people can't say right now. But if there's somebody who could absolutely be an optimist about it and see kind of a vision further down the road, it's Big T Thurl Bailey. So Thurl's going to come on. We're excited about that. We've got tons to break down. We're now just over 24 hours away from BYU taking on Oklahoma State. I've talked myself in and out of wondering if this team is legit this week. If you give me enough days, if this was another bye week, JJ, I would be telling everybody, nah, they're probably going to lose this one. Like, just because I can get in my own head. I've seen this team before. I've seen things happen with teams that start out this way, and I'm trying to understand, like, as the numbers go, BYU is just performing. And from the way things look up on the hill for Utah, I decided to take the same approach that this person that I talked to today goes, no, I'm an eternal optimist about the Utah Jazz. I go, you know what? I'm going to be an optimist about all the teams we cover today. It might only last today. It might not even last through the show. To be honest, I might be at the end in pieces.
Is this a new thing? We're going to call it Sunshine and Rainbows Thursday?
Yeah, listen. Somebody's got to offset.
We lie through our teeth about our local teams to make all of you listening.
Here comes the cynicism again.
We lie through our teeth to make everybody listening think that their team is great.
It's not lying through your teeth.
Heat flow through you.
It is what we call in the radio business pandering. All right? I'm going to be everyone's best friend. I want you to like us out there.
But Alex, what about the integrity that we've built with our audience, the trust that we're going to give it to them straight and honest each and every day we come here on the mic?
My favorite is when people go, how can you call yourself a journalist? I go, oh, I never have. I've never called myself a journalist. Absolutely not. Hey, you call yourself a journalist. No, I do not. I graduated in broadcast journalism. So technically, I was heading down that path at one point. I jumped off of it at a certain point, too. You know why? Because I opened my fat mouth too much about how I feel about things, really. And that's why we do this talk show. Not to be journalists, JJ. In fact, this is when JJ steps away from being a journalist. That's what's great. This is 3 hours of zero journalistic integrity. Boom. That's what our promise is to you.
So we're a clown show is what you're saying.
No, listen, it's not a clown show. We have opinions, and they may be dead wrong. Sometimes they're dead right. And either way, we get criticized for it. And I love it. That's what this is.
And I welcome that, and it's fun.
Absolutely.
If you think I suck, tell me on Twitter.
Or continue to tell us on Twitter. That's fine.
Or if you're 65 or older, just email me.
There's that one. My favorite is when you get those station emails, you're like, oh boy, here it comes. There was something a gentleman of your station wrote on Twitter.
Oh, that Jeremy Johnson character on the 6 o'clock news tonight.
No, that's my favorite. When they go, I've got a beef to pick. The other night, one of your sports anchors, one of your sports people, blah, 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 blah. And that's why I'm never listening or watching Channel 4 again. And I'm like, okay, you went down the wrong road totally from the beginning.
Sir, with all due respect, wrong channel.
Like way wrong channel.
You're looking for
like, please
this
never
person.
confuse us with that station ever again, please. I mean, God bless them. All right, let's kick off the show. We got tons to jump into today. We've got all sorts of things to jump into when it comes to the Big 12, when it comes to Utah, when it comes to BYU. We're going to be jamming about the Utah Hockey Club. I was absolutely ashamed to call myself a watcher of NHL hockey last night when the Utah Hockey Club just handed away that last goal to the Anaheim.
Hey, what happened about
Ducks?
the Sunshine and Rainbows thing?
Sorry.
Less than 10 minutes.
Fine. Okay. Man, isn't hockey fun? I almost made it through the first segment. I almost made it through 5 minutes. But we'll get to that and much more. We've got things because we're hockey people now, all right? We know what we're talking about. So let's jump in here. Let's have a Big 12 discussion. And let's go into I want you to go. We're going to have the benefit of hindsight this entire segment right here as we jump in. Our program brought to you by G2G Bars. All natural ingredients and no preservatives make the G2G Bar the perfect protein bar. Give it a shot. Go to Costco in the refrigerated section. That's where I prefer to do it just because you can get some dollars off with your membership. It's a membership club, JJ. But you can find it at all the different places across the Wasatch Front in the refrigerated section, so go check it out. Let's kick off the program as we always do with the cut. Let's jump in right here.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
And this portion of the show brought to you by Trajan Wealth for all of your trusted retirement financial needs. Trajan Wealth, TRAJAN Wealth.com is the website. When's the actual first game of the Jazz season, by the way?
It's Wednesday.
Next Wednesday.
Yeah.
That's why Thorough coming on Thursday is big because
we're 6 days away.
It's officially almost game week.
Yes.
Okay?
That's correct.
Is there a World Series game or an ALCS game on right now? Well, see you guys in a couple hours.
All right.
Yeah, we'll have to get that.
Yankees
up on the
Guardians, top of the first. Just getting
Love it. Okay. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this Big 12 as it sits right now. Okay. But first, to understand kind of how wild it is, you have to look and see what the media poll in. Let me look at the date here. This must have been mid-July of 2024, and mid-July in 2024. Let me remind you where our heads were at. Utah was picked first in the Big 12. There's a 20 next to their name because that's how many first-place votes they received. Dang it. I was one of those people who threw the Utah vote onto the top of the heap. You?
No, I don't. I'm not a no. I mean, in the Big 12? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure.
I threw it in there.
Utah was number one before. I mean, we all did.
Yeah.
Except for the people who voted for Kansas State, right? It was basically Utah and Kansas State.
Right. Now, Oklahoma State, I'll remind you, so Utah got 20 first-place votes.
Yes.
Kansas State got 19 first-place votes. This show was basically the difference of Kansas State being the tops in the league.
Sorry, Wildcats.
And you know what?
Sounds like a curse, though, if you think about it now.
Well,
so maybe we did them a favor.
Let's go through the top four again. Utah, 20 votes. Kansas State in second at 19. Oklahoma State in third with, it's not like 2. They got 14 first-place votes. Kansas was your fourth team. Arizona was your third team. You seeing a pattern here? Minus Kansas State, who have sort of held serve through what people thought what people thought they were going to be at this time. I don't think the
38-9 beatdown in Provo.
Now that was a shock.
I'm not sure that's holding serve.
Now that was a shock, but they are one loss. If they would have had one loss in the conference at this point through the season, you don't totally bail on the year. And certainly we've seen Kansas State, and you know that you don't necessarily have to bail out on Chris Kleiman's guys because that's a pretty darn good football team.
And their schedule's not tough, except for that Iowa State game at the end.
Okay, let's go 6 through 10. Iowa State, West Virginia, UCF, Texas Tech, and TCU. That's 6 through 10.
3 of the 5 have overachieved.
So in that middle tier, what we would call that middle tier of the conference, West Virginia is, I'd say, they're a 2.5 tier type team right now. They're certainly better than Neil Brown should. He's got to keep his job, right? He's doing a good job. UCF has massively underperformed compared to what now 8th in the league is not necessarily, awesome. That's halfway through. But UCF, people were looking at and going, that's a team that could threaten.
They're essentially 10th right now.
Right.
Or 11th.
So they're not that far off of where we thought they were going to be. However, they're trending in a bad direction.
Right.
Texas Tech. Okay, move them all the way up. They are currently tied at the top of the conference with a 3-0 record. TCU is in a bad spot. Now let's go 11 through 16. Colorado, overperforming, underperforming.
Overperforming.
Okay, 4-2 on the year.
What's up, boss? You believe
No,
that?
I still don't, Coach.
Hold on.
I'm not going to either.
Hold on.
Their only loss is to Kansas State in conference so far.
And Kansas State had to pull it out of the hat, brother.
Sort of, yeah.
They're in Boulder. So Baylor at 12. That's probably about where we had Baylor in our heads, right?
Yeah. But they're worse. They're actually worse.
They're
than
actually
that.
worse. They're 0-3 in conference, yes?
Yeah.
Coming off a bye week, hoping to get a dub.
2-4 overall.
BYU is picked 13th. We'll come back to that. Cincinnati is 14. Also a team that's overperformed. What are they, 4-2 and 2-1?
Correct.
Okay. Houston, we are what you thought we are. You are what we thought you were. You could actually make an argument that Arizona State is a bigger shock than even BYU. Based off of what they were picked. 16th in the league.
Yes, you could.
They are, 2-1 in conference play now?
They're 5-1 overall, 2-1 in conference play. Their only loss is to Texas Tech.
So they're tied for second, basically, in the Big 12.
Correct.
Okay. They're one win away from being bowl eligible, which that's the standard nowadays to act like we've done something, right?
That saves jobs.
It really does. And in Kenny Dillingham's case, it'll get him an extension.
No doubt.
Like he goes 6-1 after this week. Wait, are they playing this week? They might have a bye. I don't know.
You consider the disaster that they were
awful
after the Herm Edwards
right,
stuff.
and to pick up the pieces after just 1 year.
They play at Cincinnati.
But this is
10 a.m. on Saturday.
Yeah. Utah right now 1-2 in conference play, so not the dead worst because you have some 0 for teams. The biggest shock for underperforming, in my mind, is the tie between Oklahoma State and Kansas. Kansas was picked to finish behind Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State is 0-3 in conference play. Can that last, JJ? Will 0-3 turn into 0-4 with a team who has not had a 4-game losing streak in 13 years?
Yeah, because they're going to a tough place to play against a team that's really, really good right now, and Oklahoma State's not good. How does a team with the Doak Walker Award winner from last year return their entire offensive line with an 7th or 8th year quarterback this bad? They're bad.
It is a bad team.
They got absolutely crushed by West Virginia, who had their second-string quarterback in after the Green kid got hurt on the second series.
They have a fellow who's green?
They do.
The Green kid. So
we've discriminated against green kids for far too long.
The dad jokes come out very quickly.
It's time that we allow green kids to play football.
It's green with 3 E's, okay? So in the end, what's the most shocking thing to you? Arizona State 16th and actually where they are now. Utah picked first and 1-2 in conference. Oklahoma State picked third and 0-3 currently. Kansas at 1-5 and 0-3. They were picked to finish fourth in the conference. What's the most shocking thing to you? Or BYU at 13, now at the very top of the table.
How about I could give you my most disappointing and most surprising.
Okay.
BYU, Kansas State Arizona State are neck and neck as far as the biggest surprises. Oklahoma State is a bigger disappointment than Kansas.
Okay. That's a bigger disappointment.
Because
That's a bigger shock to you?
Kansas has historically been bad. And we knew Jalen Daniels wasn't himself last year. And this idea or expectation that he was going to be this Heisman candidate is so weird. I don't understand it at all. Kansas doesn't have the horses that Oklahoma State has. Kansas doesn't have a 20-year head coach in Mike Gundy. They don't have the consistency of an Oklahoma State. And for Oklahoma State to fall this far off of what they did last year is strange. But this is becoming a thing with Oklahoma State because last year they were good. The year before that they were bad. The year before that they won 12 games. Who are they? Mm-hmm. They are all over the map each and every year. But even that said, Oklahoma State brought back more guys, more depth at different positions than Kansas did. There's no excuse. You have the best running back in college football last year is still on your roster, and he can't get to 100 yards in a game behind the same offensive line that blocked from last year.
Right.
That's on the coaches.
Yep.
So that's the biggest disappointment. Kansas, I feel like they've got holes and they've got issues. I don't think their coach all of a sudden stinks. I think they have a nice running back, and that's about it. And Jalen Daniels is a disappointment. But Kansas doesn't have the horses that Oklahoma State has.
Okay.
There's no excuse in Stillwater.
Aside from re-ranking like where these teams are supposed to be at, I want you to re-rank in your head. You remember where we had BYU's quarterback room before the year started?
16th.
Do you remember where college football had the quarterback room?
It wasn't us. I mean, you look around all over the place, like all the analytics places. Everybody had BYU 16th.
In a lot of cases, it wasn't. They were 15 or 16. Do you remember who the 16th was? It was Oklahoma State. A couple of.
Remember they're like Alan Bowman's not great.
No, and he's proven that that's the case. Yeah, there's no way that guy's going to get the start this weekend. Every Oklahoma State beat writer and we had the sideline analysts on with us this week. Everybody's like, yeah, I don't know if you're going to see Alan Bowman again. Partly it's because of how much Mike Gundy stood behind his guy for a long time. And this week it was waffling.
But the funny thing is the guy we probably will see this weekend has been at Oklahoma State longer than Alan Bowman.
Yeah.
Alan Bowman's on his third team.
Rangel's been there since 2022.
He came in for an injured Spencer Sanders a couple years ago.
Was Spencer Sanders the guy who was? Oh no, that's Brandon Wheaton, right? The guy who was like 100.
Guy who was like, he was like a baseball player.
Yeah,
he
was like, I've retired from baseball so that I can play football.
40-year-old Brandon Wheaton.
It's quite hilarious. All right, we got tons going on in the program right now, and we're going to do something today. Of course, we're hanging out today, and this is a fun thing for us here because we don't get to hang out every week with the folks at Hercules Credit Union. And this has been one of our funnest things all year long, is helping people understand exactly what the Hercules Hero of the Week is. And what's really fun about this is being able to sit down with you guys and to be able to run through here and to understand what's going on.
And this is our first time having Caleb Fielding in.
Yep.
Caleb, welcome to the show.
Caleb,
thank you.
Listen, you're our third. Does that mean we've kicked everybody else out? The other two don't want to do it anymore?
We're that
I know they're
annoying
here.
that nobody else wants to come
You're
back?
not that scary, but maybe a little intimidating.
Okay. Caleb, first of all, we appreciate all the support that Hercules Credit Union's given. And also, frankly, it's been really fun to have the Hercules Hero of the Week all year. And it's fun to be able to read these stories of people from across the entire valley to be able to jump in on this thing. So what is Hercules Credit Union doing, not just in the community, but also for the members who are out there or potential members of the credit union to be able to get some money? Look, this is a time of year, or this is a time, at least like for us, my wife and I, we've looked at things and going, okay, what about taking out a loan? What about a HELOC? What are rates looking like? It's a lot more favorable now than it's been in a while.
It is definitely more favorable than it's been for several years, honestly. Yeah. But really, Hercules' responsibility is to be a financial partner to help people make those decisions, because there's 1,001 different options that people can take advantage of, and it's really just about trying to tailor what the options are to the actual person and their specific circumstances. There's
a lot of people that have been waiting for the rates to come down to buy a home, and we finally saw a rate decrease. And so a lot of people are probably thinking, maybe, is it time? Is it time? You have a chance to speak to those people right now. What does Hercules Credit Union do to help those home buyers who are considering right now finally getting back into the market?
One of the primary things that we do is we sit our members down and we talk to them and we try and get an idea of what their entire financial picture looks like. So it's not just how much money do you have for a down payment, how much do you think you can afford, and let's get you into a loan. It's much broader than that. It's helping them understand their credit. It's helping them understand how this is an opportunity to help them build wealth over the length of their lives. And really our job is to try and connect them with something that's going to set them up for financial success in the long term.
Like you said, the rates have changed, and your area of specialty is in that mortgage arena. So help us understand why right now is a really good time to sit down with somebody like you or on the team at Hercules to go, hey, you can get into that house that maybe you were thinking to yourself, I don't know if I can do, or maybe refinancing or whatever it might be, because maybe a year and a half ago some people got into some rates that they were not very good, and now it's at least improved a little bit. How can we help those guys out?
If anybody has either looked into buying a home or has looked into refinancing over the past couple of years, it hasn't made a whole lot of sense for those people.
Yep.
It's been terrifying, but they finally dipped enough to where now it's still not what it was 4 or 5 years ago, but it's a lot more attractive now. And there's a lot of people who can get into a home that otherwise 2 years ago couldn't.
So if somebody's listening right now, if you want to go to HerculesCU.com, it's just HerculesCU.com. You've heard us talking about and singing the praises of Hercules First Federal Credit Union. If somebody wants to become a member, what do they have to do?
So they can either go online, they can visit us at one of our 3 branches. Online's probably the easiest for most people, and then we can connect from there.
Okay, HerculesCU.com. Caleb Fielding. Caleb, I'd say A- on your first go here.
I appreciate it. I'll take that.
He's a tough grader.
Listen,
So
3.7.
don't be offended by the minus.
3.7 GPA. Those are the kids that were always smarter than me
He
anyway.
believes in you.
That's better than I did in high school. So
There you go. Okay,
And
Caleb.
look at you now.
If you want to sit down with somebody like Caleb or some of these folks who are handling accounts, loans, mortgages, and if you want to just get questions answered, really, because I think a lot of people, it's a nebulous thing. You don't even want to ask half the time because then, you feel like you're getting your credit card or your credit report looked at. How about just asking a question to an expert, becoming a member of Hercules First Federal Credit Union, and finding out how to get yourself those good rates? Caleb, thanks for hanging out, man.
Yep,
We appreciate
thank you.
it.
Appreciate it.
We'll come back. We got more to go right around the corner. Stay with us. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Your home for the best college football coverage in Utah is on the KSL Sports Zone. Ready? The Utes return home to the Hill to take on an old familiar foe in TCU. Your home for the best coverage of Utah football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Thanks for being with us. Hope your football season, hockey season, almost basketball season. Am I missing any of them?
Everything's happening right now.
By the way, college
We even
basketball.
had the PGA Tour in Utah this month.
No, I know.
Everything's happening.
College basketball is not that far off either, by the way. When the
Everyone's
NBA
having their
when the NBA hits,
Midnight Madness
yes,
deals or whatever you want to
they're
call
blue
them.
and white games, they're red and white games. When the NBA season hits, give yourself a month before you go, oh, they already played 3 games? Wow. But were they the ones that count? Were they the ones on the schedule that are green because they don't actually count? And the answer is BYU basketball, Utah State basketball, all going to be firing up here. What was Utah picked in? We talked about BYU being picked 9th in the Utah's picked last?
16th.
Woo. Hey, let's hope that everything works out for Utah basketball like it did for BYU year 1 of the Big 12. Let's hope that the tables.
Could we have an inverse?
Let's hope that the tables in basketball look like the tables in football after it's all said and done.
Let's see if the turntables.
JJ, it's fun
It's for you
working-
Office
it's
fans
fun
out
working
there.
for you and with you. Oh, how the turntables. BYU going up the rankings and getting playoff consideration. Here's the thing, though. There's still a lot of trepidation even for the national guys to give BYU all the credit. Now, I think it's interesting because people have no problem putting Iowa State into that single-digit ranking. What's the real? But again, they were also picked to finish 6th in the Big 12 standings. So it's not like people were looking at Iowa State. Iowa State was looked at as a team that was on the cusp of being ranked. Now, this is why early season rankings matter in the AP poll, because it took a good 3 or 4 weeks for BYU to finally start to get like some traction there, and that matters. And is it really that, or is it that people still don't believe of what Kalani Sitake's doing down there in Provo?
I just think it's a lack of familiarity of having BYU in these positions. Because prior to now, they did not have a seat at the table. Iowa State's been in a power conference forever. They were in the Big 8. Now they're in the Big 12, and then they've been there the whole time, right? So Iowa State has never been a big juggernaut in college football.
Right.
But they've been in these conferences and playing teams like Texas and Oklahoma over the years. So BYU is an unfamiliar name to a lot of these people that are talking about this playoff situation because they have not been in the mix So I think it's just foreign to them at this point. And because of where BYU was picked in the off season, it's just people are not there yet with them. But if the people that are watching college football and do really dig into it deep recognize their resume as strong as anybody in the country right now for inclusion in a college football playoff, as long as they stay on this path, if you're BYU and you're undefeated and you continue to stack up W's like you are, they've got to win over Kansas State. They got to win on the road over SMU, who is now in the top 25. If you're paying attention to what SMU has done since that loss to BYU, they have been on the up. SMU's a good football team. They're a top 25 football team. They're a quiet contender in the ACC. Mm-hmm. SMU is no longer a group of five. BYU beat an ACC team that's ranked in the top 25 on their home field. Now you take the SMU away from that and you put Florida State there instead? Is that going to get the attention of people? Yes, it would.
Yeah.
So, because it's SMU, it doesn't get the same shock value. I think people were asleep when BYU beat Kansas State 38-9. I don't think a lot of people watched that game, unfortunately.
Yeah. And it is interesting how quickly games like that are forgotten, because by the end of the year, you're going to have voters who are going to be like, so wait. So Kansas State taking on BYU in the Big 12 championship game. Let's say the conversation starts that way, right? And they go, okay, so now who did Kansas State lose to? Oh, they lost to BYU by 4 scores? I mean, did I forget about that? It was was that their second conference game or first?
That was the first. That was BYU's that was the first Big 12 game they've ever played.
No, Kansas State, I'm saying this year.
This
season.
It was Kansas State's first, because they played Arizona the week before, but that did not count.
Right.
That was not a conference.
That's true.
Game.
But so when you say Iowa State's has never really been a juggernaut in football, they have 2 conference titles in their history. 1911 and 1912.
We all remember those years.
Don't sleep on. You know why you should? Because guess who was co-head coach at the time of those 2 championships? Pop Warner. Boom. The namesake of Pee Wee football. I had no idea Pop Warner.
There you go. Iowa State. He loved living in Ames. Apparently.
This is a team that is overall is 3-17 all time in bowls.
Wow.
Okay. The last time they won a division title, even in a conference, was 2004. Now, they had a good year a couple of years ago. Remember Matt Campbell, what was it, 2 seasons ago? They won 11 games. Did they end in the top 10? They were preseason top 10 last year, and then did not perform like people thought that they should. But now, I don't know why I'm going on this Iowa State tangent. I think it's just because
they're the number 1 team in the conference right now. They're ranked higher than BYU.
They're ranked higher than BYU.
People are putting them in that college football playoff slot at number 4.
Yes.
Where we think BYU belongs there, right? That's the argument we're making.
Right, that they have more impressive wins, etc. Right? They're both 6-0. They're both 3-0 in conference play. But BYU has beaten
It was 2021, by the way. They finished 7th in the AP poll that year.
And how many wins did they have that year? 11? 11, 12 wins?
Oh, wait, no, that year. No, they ended up 7-6.
That was the year they went 7-6.
But they didn't finish. No, okay, so the college football playoff final in 2020, they were 10th.
Okay, there you go.
And that year they went 9-3. And they went to the Fiesta Bowl.
Huh.
There you go.
Okay.
So they went to a
2020 was a weird year. BYU went 11-1 that year too.
They went to a New Year's Day bowl game.
There you go.
The once and only time, I believe, in their history.
So here's a question that I have. With BYU's run game the way that it is right now, which is like a giant question mark still in my mind, still haven't had a 100-yard rusher this year. Now, part of it is because they love splitting those reps. You get 9 carries, you get 11 carries, you get 7 carries. And the running game finally had a 5.7, I think, run per average, per play, per rush this past weekend against Arizona. And that was the first time they were over 5 in a long time. So can a team win a conference when they still really haven't gotten that run game going?
Well, okay, so we have to be careful with that, right? Did they have a 100-yard rusher this year? No. How many yards did they have for the game rushing?
27 for 147.
147 is a good number. 147 is a really good number.
Yeah, and on 27 carries for sure.
So I know it's by committee, and I know that they don't have a star there right now. Injuries all obviously impacted that. But what I do like about the run game, Alex, is they've got a lot of guys they can trust. So if they need to give them the bulk of the carries, I think they could do that. I'm more concerned about the team rushing number than I am about the individual number. I think that's key. So Utah, Mekhi Bernard, how incredible was he against Arizona State? He was the only guy that seemed like he wanted to be there.
Yep.
It felt like it, right? And that offensive line did a good job. Did you know that BYU outperformed Utah in the run game on Saturday?
What were the numbers?
Utah only ran for 140 yards. BYU ran for 147. Utah had the 100-yard back with a touchdown. BYU did not. So which team ran the ball better? BYU did, statistically. So you want to see that guy step up and be the man, like we're seeing with Mekhi Bernard. Great story. But all that matters really is that you're getting the job done with rushing yards for the team. And BYU right now accomplished that, at least in their last outing. So it is a fair concern because you want to see consistency in a spot that was bad last year. They did not run the ball well last year. And we talked a lot about the offensive line's role in that. But while you're not seeing the 100-yard rusher, the truth is BYU is being much more effective running the football this year and is actually contributing to their 6-0 start.
So let me roll out for you. I can't figure out what's the weirdest ranking out of all this. Okay, so let me read for you. This is as of September 1st. There was a ranking, a preseason, and I think there had already been a couple games played, but like not by. It was like week 0 was the only stuff that had been played at that point. The Big 12 quarterback rankings. You ready for this? Number 1 in the preseason. Any guesses?
No.
Noah Fafita.
Okay.
You know why? I mean, obviously he came
hype.
with a lot of hype,
And they were incredible last year. Their pass game was really good.
Shedeur Sanders was second.
Yeah.
He could still probably be right there.
All the hype around Shedeur, I probably would have said he would be the first one I would think of.
Cam Rising was 3. Okay, now, again, I want you to think about where we're at now, where your head is now, okay? Cam Rising was 3. Jalen Daniels is 4 for Kansas, okay? Imagine how ridiculous this sounds now. 5 is Garrett Green for West Virginia. Fine. He was all right. He's been okay. I don't know about 5th best, but now he's injured now. Rocco Beck for Iowa State was 6th. Avery Johnson for Kansas State was 7. Alan Bowman was 8th on this list. The week before that, his rank was 10th. DeQuan Finn for Baylor was ranked 9th. Before the season started, he was 6th. Okay? Baron Morton for Texas Tech was 10th. KJ Jefferson was 11th. Josh Hoover was 12th. Donovan Smith for Houston was 13, and you didn't even know that's what the name of the quarterback was for Houston, by the way. Brendan Sorsby, you also didn't know that name. Quarterback for Cincinnati. Just like you don't remember that Scott Satterfield's their head coach. Very forgettable program currently, even though they're 4-2 and 2-1 in conference. Jake Retzlaff was 15th. And then dead last was Sam Levitt. Think about that. Sam Levitt for Arizona State and Jake Retzlaff for BYU have put the big middle finger to everybody who thought that they were not going to be good enough. And to think that Jalen Daniels was 4th and Cam Rising was 3rd, think about where our heads are now. And I'm not saying that that Cam wouldn't have the ability. If he was 100% healthy, maybe he would be in that top tier. Maybe it would be. But in this particular case, quite wild.
I have the stats up for this season so far, quarterbacks passing.
What do you got?
I could give you either the top by yards or efficiency. Which would you prefer?
Let's do yards
because yards can be deceiving.
Yeah, but that's the sexy thing, though. You want to see how many. Okay, who's got the most?
All right, Shedeur Sanders.
Yes.
Second is Josh Hoover. Third is Brendan Sorsby.
Cincinnati.
4th is Alan Bowman. Most of that was in the first 3 games of the year.
Right.
Baron Morton is 5th. Noah Fafita 6th. Rocco Beck 7th. Jake Retzlaff 8th. Garrett Green 9th. Sam Levitt 10th. Avery Johnson 11th. Jalen Daniels, 12th. Sawyer Robertson of Baylor, 13th. KJ Jefferson, UCF, 14th. Isaac Wilson, Utah, 15th. And Donovan Smith, 16th. When you throw up the efficiency numbers, Jake Retzloff goes up to 6th.
Okay.
And Rocco Becht of Iowa State
Number 1.
is 2nd.
Oh.
Shadur is still 1st in
Really?
yards and efficiency.
That's quite
A lot
impressive.
of people are going to be like, come on, man. But you know what? The stats back it up. Shadur
Right.
Sanders is the best quarterback in the Big 12. And
Look,
it's not
and
even close.
QBR, the QBR rating gets Kyle Whittingham's blood pumping. And if he has to admit it, he would probably say, well, his that Colorado quarterback, that number 2, is that what number he is?
Yeah.
That number 2, he's got good QBR. Obviously, that's a great stat. One of the best in the conference. I mean, one of the best in the country. Can you hear that press conference already, by the
17
way?
touchdowns, 4 interceptions.
That's pretty good. That's pretty darn good. So
and
what I'm
all
saying
that with
is
a bad offensive line.
right. And what I'm saying is that the expectations were set, and look at what the reality was. Whoever's quarterback was not performing or has not performed, those teams have shot to the very bottom of the conference. And teams that quarterbacks overperformed, not surprisingly, have shot up the list. Where'd you say Sam Levitt was? I didn't hear his name at all.
Yeah, he's 10th on efficiency.
Okay.
He was, I can go to yards. He's 10th in yards.
Okay.
10 out of 16.
Not super impressive, but they also
He's been
have
good enough.
But in their case, they have
Scadaboo's
they
the
have
guy.
Scadaboo who was definitely overperformed. So that's another piece of that offense that overperformed.
All you needed was a quarterback to come in and take care of the football,
All right.
and he's done that.
Let's take a break. Hey, you can nominate your youth sports volunteer that you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week. You've been hearing us talk about the Hercules Hero of the Week all season long, and we're going to continue to harp on it. You can nominate a person that you know in your neighborhood who does a phenomenal job with the youth as a volunteer in your community. So many of these volunteers and so many of these sports coaches, things like that, are helping these kids, and they get zero recognition, and they don't do it for the recognition. They do it because they love the game, they love the kids. And you can honor those people with the Hercules Hero of the Week just by going to KSLSports.com/contest. That's KSLSports.com/contest. Listen, every Thursday afternoon, JJ and I read those winners, and we'll roll out. And we're still gonna chat with Hercules Credit Union here a little bit, and Caleb on how to get you some awesome rates with your mortgages these days with Hercules Credit Union. We'll come back. We got more to go. Hercules Credit Union brings you the Hercules Hero of the Week, and so does Beehive Meals. So we'll be right back. More to go. Right around the corner, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Listen, everybody.
Real life hypotheticals to get your brain churning. As JJ and Alex ask, would you rather?
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Let me see here. Is Saturday night the first one? Is that the Boston Bruins? That's
Yeah.
the second home. That's the second home game for the Utah Hockey Club.
It's crazy how long they had to wait for their second home game.
It's been fun to watch. It was
Schedule makers not being kind to this
bummer
new
of
club.
it. Well, they had to get him on. They had to get him out there. Got to get him out in front. I appreciate him being on TV as much as they were at the very beginning. And look, it is nice to be able to either tune in the radio or watch it here locally. It's awesome. Not a fun result last night because they went to overtime, gave up a late goal to make it 4-4, and then I even told my kid, I go, look, they've been winning these games. This is going to be a 5-4 overtime game. Watch. When they were up 4-3, I said, this is going to be a 5-4 overtime game. But I assumed they were going to win it, not give it away at the end. And then, well, anyway, I sound negative, but I told you I was going to go with the positive today, JJ. Wow, hockey's fun. Okay? By the way, you can win lunch from the KSL Sports Zone every Tuesday thanks to Cafe Rio and their Taco Tuesdays that are now of legend. Win a $20 gift card to Cafe Rio just by listening in and being caller number 12. You can learn more about the great deals available at CafeRio.com. That's CafeRio.com. JJ, a hat trick in hockey or hit for the cycle in Major League Baseball? That doesn't seem
Hit for
like
the cycle.
That doesn't seem...
Hat tricks happen all the time.
Hat tricks happen. Okay, how about...
Even more often in soccer. So
Okay, well, then
I'd
let's
take
go.
the cycle. The cycle's hard.
Okay, now hold on. Hat trick or 2 home runs in a Major League Baseball game? That's a little bit more comparable.
Hat trick.
Really?
Yeah.
I would say hat trick too if I got to keep all the hats that were thrown on the ice. That's I feel like that's what the reward should be for somebody who gets a hat trick. You don't
Why
get a trophy.
would you want the hats?
There's probably some cool ones in there.
Probably stink.
Well, I mean they weren't worn by the
You want
hockey
to wear
players.
someone else's hat? That's weird.
I'll take it to the dry cleaner. Is that what you do with hats? Take them to the dry cleaner?
What do they charge at the dry cleaner for cleaning a hat? I've never heard of that.
How much to dry clean a hat? Well, how many do you have? 748. I had a hat trick last night in the NHL.
I'm going to frame them like trophies in my trophy room.
There'll probably be some cool ones on there. All right.
Probably not.
I'm going to go with 2 home runs in Major League Baseball. That's where I'm at.
You're just trying to be different.
No. Because I think a home run, they say that's the hardest thing to do, right? Hit a fastball in all of sports. So I would take the home run. The home run feels more like that's the one that would feel crazy to me.
If you're Aaron Judge, aren't you supposed to hit home runs?
Yeah. I ain't Aaron
Nobody
Judge.
says, "Oh, you play soccer, you play hockey." Like you're supposed to get a hat trick.
Yeah.
This is hard.
Yep. All right.
Otherwise, we see home runs in Major League Baseball every night. We see multiple home run games probably once a week. How often do you see a hat trick in the NHL?
Would you rather be Justin Fields or Bryce Young right now? We're watching
Justin Fields, because I feel like
watching
Justin
but
Fields.
look how sad he is right now, though. He's so
I
sad.
feel like he rejuvenated his career a bit. Bryce Young's in a position where does he get his next chance?
Well, they're going to keep him. They're going to keep him on for a while. Justin Fields, I don't know when he's going to start another football game. That's the problem there.
I don't know when Bryce Young's going to start another football game. They benched their number 1 pick. They're going to start over.
With the
Because
ginger.
they're going to have the number 1 pick this year because they stink.
All right.
There you
Oh,
go.
they're going to get Shadur? Okay.
Not if Jerry Jones can help it.